friends, you would have heard about neurodiversity, school readiness programs, or remediation techniques and processes. These terminologies are not new to us. Most of us are not aware that how to get them if your child is a special child. Hi, my name is Shivali, and this is Spectrum-Autism, a support group which has been founded to create awareness around autism and the spectrum of autism. In the Talk to the Expert series, the guest who's gracing this episode is Naomi Menon. Naomi is the founder, director of InclusivEd. InclusivEd is an education center in Bangalore, which aims to create a safe learning space for children and young adults, social, emotional, and behavioral support. Naomi holds a master's degree in counseling psychology from Christ University, Bangalore. She's also completed her M.Ed in inclusive education from the University of Glasgow. She's also a member of International Association for Special Education, and today she is here with us telling us more about what she does in InclusivEd. This Talk to the Expert series is exclusively done to bring awareness to what can be done in case if your child is a special child with any learning disability or any disorder. There are programs which can be conducted. You can get in touch with people who are providing these kind of support. Naomi and her team, they're leading in this direction where they're providing those kind of support to specially abled children and young adults. So let's hear from Naomi about how her journey started from being a special educator in a school to now as a founder director of InclusivEd. Hi, Naomi. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we are so happy that you're here with us. I would like to take us through to the journey that you have from a special educator to InclusivEd now.
Right. So I actually started off, at least my qualification was a counselor. I got into special education on the job itself when I got my first job as a special educator. It's been 9 years now, I think, since I started in the field. And it's been about 5 years since I started private practice. InclusivEd is the idea behind InclusivEd is that it comes across as a safe space for children who have any kind of challenge that, whether it's academic, whether it's social or behavioral, and where they can get support, the right kind of support for their needs. So ours is a need-based service where we first look at the child that comes in, what kind of, challenges they have, what needs they have, and then we work with the child. InclusivEd is aimed at that.
So we understand that learning disabilities is one part of it, but you mentioned that social needs also. So can you be more elaborative? What kind of social needs can kids be educated via an organization?
Right. So sometimes children come with certain challenges in terms of, let's say they have trouble with their confidence, with not being able to interact with their peers effectively. Sometimes they come with issues where, they're not able to even string a sentence together or have a conversation with another person. So we provide that, that support. We encourage the child, we build the child's confidence, and we encourage conversations and building conversations. So right now it's all online, but when it was a physical space, we could have, kids come together where we encourage conversations between the children, and we are just the facilitators.
So you mentioned about neurodiversity. So can you be a little more elaborative what this is?
Right. So neurodiversity is basically a term that is, that is used to describe describe a community of individuals who are different, who have just variations in their cognitive abilities, in their learning, in their socialization or their social activities. Neurodiversity is basically just differences in people. Now, when we talk about disability, any disability, whether it's autism or learning disability or ADHD, when we look at these individuals, we also look at them as just being different or having different needs, having different, ways of thinking, ways of being, right? And it doesn't mean that it's abnormal. It just means that it is different. So personally, I don't really follow the word normal. because there's no such thing as normal, right? We all are just different variations of each other in terms of personality, in terms of the way we interact, the communication. So neurodiversity is basically that. It's just how we think differently, or we have different cognitive abilities. And I think that would be probably the most basic way to explain the term. But yeah, so that's what neurodiversity means.
Superb. So it essentially means that accept the different, right? So, like your profile mentioned when I was reading about your inclusive ed and your profile there, it talks about catering to different needs of the children and young adults. And as you know, that the Spectrum Autism is a support group which is primarily working towards creating awareness towards autism. And but yes, we would also like to spread awareness if there are more learning disabilities or disorders. So, in that area, how did this idea come to you when you, from being a special educator
Right.
to creating something like this, which is more of enablement program, the way that I look at it?
Right. So when I was working in mainstream schools, I, realized that there were, one, a lot of kids in need, two, a lot of parents who didn't know where to go. Schools that would provide the support, but in that environment and within that space. And then after school or besides school, where would the child go for support? So therefore, the idea for inclusive ed, one, came from that, as well as to I wanted to reach more number of children across the city. So therefore, working in one particular school was not enough, I felt. So that's why I wanted to create a space where I could get children from anywhere, wherever, from whichever part of the city that they wanted to come from, and provide this kind of support, an all-round support.
Right. So, can you be more elaborative about what kind of support and services does your team provide, and who all are part of your team? Because, as you also mentioned, that people are not aware of what support can be given, and that is the objective of this session also, to create the awareness that help is around,
Right.
and you can approach and reach out people, and they are there already, and they're equipped to handle and address the kind of queries that you may have as a parent.
Right.
So can you tell me what all services do you cater to?
So, one of our main services is a remedial program, which is an after school support program for children, for neurodivergent children.
Mm-hmm.
Neurodivergent children are basically children who have differences in learning and, their academics, their reasoning skill, cognitive abilities.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other services that we do provide is counseling for some of the kids who go through social emotional issues, who need support in terms of their confidence. We also, well, I also believe in training of teachers and parents. So I also do workshops for teachers, because I believe they are the first and the main, points of contact when it comes to children in mainstream schools. Right now, it's basically me, handling all the sessions in the classes. I do have few teachers who are on a consultancy basis. When and where, if I do get children, I do put them onto those teachers.
Great.
Those teachers are trained by me, so there is a certain standard that we follow.
Obviously. So, like you said, the teachers need to be trained. Do you also do sensitizing program for parents and community?
Right, right. So right now we've not really gotten a group of parents together, enough parents together to have a sensitization program, but I am open to it.
Okay.
Sensitized parents who come to me for any kind of support, whether they bring their child to me or they just need to talk to somebody who, who can tell them what the next step is or should be. So even if I can't help the child personally, I refer the child to other, therapists, either physiotherapists, or occupational therapists, speech therapists, because I believe that if we as a community don't support each other and don't refer and don't help the child in need, then there's no point of us really being in the field as such.
Yeah.
So so I do the one-on-one support for parents who come to me, and I do spend time with parents who come. But as a group, I am, open to raising, to spreading awareness, to answering questions. Even I think it needs, most parents come with just questions as to what to do, what is the next step, what do they watch out for, what whether there is something happening with their child, or it's just regular development happening. It's basically a lot of questions that parents have, and they don't know where to go or who to ask.
That's so right. And that is why, people like you and groups like ours, we're trying to do the same thing, is letting people know that, yes, something can be done. Yeah. It's not that you are alone. You're not there all by yourself. There are people who will help you. Now, I would want to understand, you mentioned school remediation programs,
Yeah.
and you also mentioned about kids and young adults. So are there any stories that you'd like to share with us of people who've undergone some sort of a training or a therapy with you, and now they are in the mainstream?
So most of the kids, so the school remedial program is an after school program. So most of my kids go to a mainstream school, and then they, come to me for one-on-one sessions after. One of the kids who I have has been with me since I started InclusivEd, and even before that. And he has progressed so much, and he's still with me. We're still working with him. He's still, there are of course steps to go, and there's of course goals to be met, but he has progressed so much in terms of communication, in terms of gaining confidence in himself. He is on the spectrum, but he's now socializing. He's talking a lot more. Sometimes we have to tell him to stop talking at some points, because he is communicating so much, and he wants to express. And all that has happened because of the continued support from me, from his parents, from the school. It cannot be just me. It has to be a holistic support. So I do ensure that I talk to the school at least, or talk to the teacher or the special educator that is in the school, to see how we can partner up and how we can provide holistic support. I also have a young adult, a 15-year-old boy who's non-speaking. He has conversations with me through his app, and even online we've been able to sustain the classes. We've been able to make progress. We work on writing skills, building his writing skills. So I think if you really want to do something, you really want to support these kids, even if it's online, even if it's physical, things can work. We just have to adapt. We have to find new ways to do it. So these are two of my, well, not, I would say success stories, because it's not my success, it's theirs. But I would say these are two of my longest standing kids, and yeah, I'm very proud of them. So I would.
Super. So if you were to give a message to parents, the parents having kids who have some sort of a learning disability, or any, they need some social or emotional support, or any psychological issue that they feel that the child has, like maybe an anger management, or maybe a sort of a gadget addiction. These days kids are going through a lot of that also. So,
Right.
so do you think, what message you would like to give through Inclusive Ed here?
I think the first and basic thing for parents, and the hardest thing I think for parents to do, is to accept. So the first thing that you need to do is to accept that your child has certain differences or certain challenges, or needs help, needs support, right? And talk about it. The I think the biggest challenge that all of us as educators and professionals in the field face is that, because people don't talk about it and parents don't openly come out and say my child has an issue, children suffer for a long period of time. So we get children at 8 or 9 or 10, when they've already passed certain stages and they've already developed so much that progress becomes even more difficult, and for them also their struggle is so much more harder. So I think the biggest message I would say is that parents need to start talking about it, need to accept that there is a challenge, and that challenge needs to be supported.
Yeah, but the parent would only be opening and talking about these things when he or she feels comfortable that they're accepted in the community. And that is where the role of the community in to become more inclusive gets more important.
I think that comes about if we talk about it. If we, like your platform, like a lot of other uh, support groups that are there, the more we talk about disability, the more we talk about how brilliant these children are, how great they're going to be, what different kind of careers that they can have. Like the more we talk positively about it, the more acceptance then there will be. Right. And so I think that is important as well. And as a community, we are slowly becoming better. I won't say that we are very negative right now.
So I think we are more informed,
Yeah,
than
more informed.
previous.
Yes. Yeah. We have schools that are becoming more inclusive. We have alternative schools. We have different programs. We have, we have community spaces that are more accessible for kids, neurodivergent kids. So we are becoming better, I would say, but it's all about awareness. It's all about talking openly about these challenges and these disabilities.
That's right. So any new projects that you have for this year, 2022, regarding InclusivEd?
Right. So we have been online right now through the pandemic. I did have a physical center in Whitefield, but I shut that down due to the pandemic, and it was hard to keep things safe for kids. But this year we are looking at opening physically. We will sort of announce it on my we have a Facebook page, an InclusivEd Facebook page. We will announce on that page where and when we're going to open physically. We are also going to start new programs or new services for younger kids, so for pre-primary kids. And I'm also I'm also trained in animal therapy, so that's one of the things that I would like to start as well.
We just heard a little friend barking in the background, so
yeah, one of the therapists.
Super. So I wish you a lot of luck for all the projects that you're doing along with your team, and a lot of luck and a lot of success your way. So thank you so much for joining here and connecting with us.